gender identity or sexuality and allow parents to opt their kids out of such lessons. Any parents that don't want their kids exposed to the realities of navigating teen issues needs to look hard in the mirror. Parents need to stop protecting their kids against exposure to issues that 1 out of 4 students have to face. I wish we lived in a world where we didn't have to tell kids about abuse, children not having enough food, dangerous addictions, suicide, depression, bullying. But we don't live in that world. We live in a world where most kids know somebody who is gay. Most people have experienced bullying or have seen bullying. Kids, even if they're straight, need to be educated how people feel who aren't straight. In my opinion, it's negligence to not teach kids about sexuality, safe sex. Parents need to take children to gynecologists and doctors to discuss their bodies. They need good medical care, especially if you're a woman. Teen girls, they need to talk to doctors who have degrees and specialize in gynecology. Where there is little education, STIs are abundantly higher. States that are red have the highest STIs. They usually focus on abstinence-only education, which has never in the history of the U.S. lowered STI statistics. Some groups advocating against LGBTQ plus affirming symbols and clubs have made it their job to remove symbols like pride flags, the GSA, the GLC. These groups want to hold on to their privilege, whether it's white privilege or hetero privilege. They don't want their kids to know that if they're not heterosexual, they have access to learning why they're not heterosexual, what the differences are, how to be safe, how to navigate being different, even though being different doesn't have to be a bad thing. Parents need to create safe places for their kids. But why do these hate groups, and they are hate groups, any groups that want to limit children's access to affirming healthcare, education, knowledge, are hate groups? They want to control people. And some of the worst hate groups I've ever known are mothers who advocate for banning books they don't agree with. Teenagers, they need to read about sexuality, healthy, fact-based, and taught by people who have degrees in education or have degrees in psychology and anatomy. They need access to people that can factually educate them. Parents should not have the right to erase issues in society by never talking about them. My parents never talked to me about any of this stuff. That's why I'm learning in my 30s. That's why I was so repressed. Children can waste half their life before realizing my parents were negligent in their education duties. Another way parents harm their children is by thinking that educators are the primary source of education. If you're a parent, you are the primary educator in your child's life. You should never leave sex talks, safe sex, consent, gender, and orientation discussions to the educators. You should always get there first, and you should never leave. In my opinion, if parents don't educate their children about the dangers of not being safe, they should be charged with child neglect, negligence, if their kid gets an STI. Parents who opt their kids out of factual education, which is few and far between in the US, and their child gets an STI, should be charged with child negligence. If you purposely keep your child from learning about safety and the child is harmed due to not having that education, the parents chose not to give the education. They should be arrested and charged with child neglect and negligence. Luckily, I never did any of that stuff when I was younger, so I didn't have any consequences from that ignorance, luckily. But a lot of kids don't get that lucky. We need to start teaching our kids years before schools talk about sex ed. We really should be talking from birth with our kids, showing them positive role models, representation. And if parents don't want a kid exposed to factual education and vital knowledge, that is negligence. Do not parent your kids based on your beliefs, your religious beliefs. Children need to be exposed to things that go against your religious beliefs. My parents didn't teach me about evolution because they didn't believe in it. What would have happened if they didn't teach me to wash my hands or go to the doctor because they didn't believe in it? I could have died. You don't opt your child out of vital information because you don't believe in it. Children need to learn things that don't agree with their religion. They need to have choices. They need to have all the spectrum of the realities of life. Kids need to know about child abuse,